The theme of this week's question of the week is your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear a word you say. I got this question from a person who posted a comment on one of my previous videos. And I just want to read his comment, and then I'm going to make some comments on my thoughts on his situation. So the comment is, we have a person at our gym. He's there all the time, like he sort of lives there. Very good, coaches the kids program. He's the professor, the instructor's right-hand man type of thing. One day I noticed 2 warts on his hand. Then a few weeks later, a few more on his hand. I kind of hinted he should go buy a product to remove those. A few days ago, he has cold sores all over his mouth, and he's still continuing to train and teach. I would not roll with him. I'm super paranoid, but I don't know how to refuse and avoid. I'm afraid I'll catch something. So, the number one obligation of a school owner and instructor at a school is the safety and care of their students. Number one. And that's why the theme of this week is your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear a word you say. Because there's certain communicable diseases or infectious diseases that we have to worry about in close contact grappling style arts. Those would be like ringworm, staph infection, herpes, cold sore, MRSA. I don't remember what MRSA stands for, but it's horrible. And the things that the school owners, like for me, at my school here, things that I do to try to mitigate those type of infectious diseases is, one, I clean the mats daily, and really almost after every class, we're cleaning the mats. Also, I inspect my students. Not an inspection like when I was in the military where I got them all lined up, but I look at them. And if I see somebody with ringworm or cold sores or warts on their hand, I'm not going to let them train. I'm like, hey, you need to get some medication for that and come back when it clears up. Is that an uncomfortable conversation? Sure. No one likes to, be the bearer of bad news. But it's critical. Now, one thing that the person went on to explain is that, the gym, he doesn't want to rock the boat because the gym just lost one of their black belt instructors and the gym's having some hard times. And, he doesn't want to cause some problems. And my answer to that is that you would be doing the gym owner a huge favor by addressing it. Because I'm going to assume that the gym owner is not aware of this person and his infectious diseases. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Bring it to their attention, because they should immediately be like, oh, I'm taking this person off the mats. And then do some training, to make sure that this does not happen again. And the reason I say you're doing the gym owner a favor is if this person is teaching classes or in classes, especially teaching kids classes, it would only take one parent to see that person or one fellow student with medical experience to see that person and say, oh, he's got a contagious disease, and they're letting him teach kids. And the worst case scenario isn't that that person brings it to the school owner's attention. The worst case scenario is that person withdraws their student, and even worse, they tell others, oh, look at this unsafe, unsanitary condition at the school. And now the owner is losing students and has no idea why. So you would be doing the owner a huge favor by bringing this to their attention. So as a school owner, you owe it to your students to ensure that it's a clean and safe environment and address infectious diseases, contagious diseases as best you can. When you see them pop up, you're like, yeah, you may catch a cold, you could catch a virus, in close quarters training. But if I see somebody that's sick, that's showing symptoms of being ill, I'm not letting them train. You know, there's risk in everything, but I'm willing to risk losing a student over not letting somebody train who is showing symptoms of an infectious disease. So you owe it as your students. And, you know, like the worst case scenario, like a friend of mine years ago, like Kevin Randleman, he was UFC champion. He was nicknamed the Monster. Just an amazing MMA fighter. And he was a collegiate national champion wrestler. I think it was at Ohio State. Like twice he won the National Collegiate Wrestling Championship. Just amazing. But Kevin contracted MRSA in his chest. And it had like a flesh-eating disease effect on his chest. And it was so bad that he was not able to train or compete for almost like 2 years. And I remember Kevin telling me that it had eaten into his chest, and that, you know, his wife would have to pull the gauze out and then repack it, and how Kevin would weep, you know, because it was so painful. And he never was the same in MMA after that disease. It was just horribly devastating to his body, and for the rest of his life, he was deformed in his chest. So that would be a horrible situation, you know, like to find yourself in as the school owner. And it's like, but you got to do your best to prevent these things. You know, if you see these diseases, you got to speak up, you know, and if the school owner didn't see it or the instructor didn't see it, you know, you're doing them a favor by bringing it to their attention. And I will finish with saying, if after you bring it to their attention, if they ignore it or somehow chastise you and they don't address the situation, stop training at that gym. They do not deserve your business. Matter of fact, they don't deserve anybody's business, because they're not concerned about the safety of their students. So that should be job number one for any school owner. And if they're not on that job, they don't deserve your business. So that's the answer to this week's question of the week. If you got a question for next week, feel free to comment below, or any insights that you have on infectious diseases like what we've talked about. And we want to keep everybody safe and healthy. All right, ciao.